Good afternoon. Are you ready for some serious tapping? I'm not sure I am, but we'll see where it goes. I sort of known this one was coming for a while, and I even hinted at it when we did the getting over the chocolate cravings. That if you remember, one of the things I said was that when you get rid of one craving, if you haven't dealt with why you're craving it, it's really easy to substitute another thing in its place. So when those words came out of my mouth, I sort of knew something was coming, but I wasn't sure what it was yet. The other side story to this is a list of things, behaviors, however you want to call them, things that we know we probably shouldn't do, but we do them anyway. I might call these negative health behaviors or bad health behaviors or self-injurious health behaviors, but you kind of get the point. It's these things that we do that are bad for our health, and we know it ahead of time. So to illustrate, today at church there were 2 services that my choir sang at. And between the services they decided to have a potluck brunch. Now, it wasn't breakfast time, it wasn't lunch time, but because we had time to kill, everybody wanted to do food. All right, food can be very social. Most of the people there probably aren't people that need an extra meal. I'm sure that I don't. But what I saw was people really smart, really nice people putting processed flours and sugars and fats in their body at a time that wasn't even a meal time. That's not good for us. I had planned ahead, so I'll pat myself on the back a little bit, and I took something that I knew was good for me to eat, and I didn't overeat. When I felt the urge to go back to the food table, I went and got a drink of water and I left the room. So I feel pretty good about that. But that hasn't always been the case. Food put before me, I eat. I like to eat. I like food. But once I was diagnosed with some allergies and things, I really did an amazing job of eliminating many foods that I absolutely love from my diet. All I had to hear was the words that I was allergic. And then I had allergy testing, and I really did get sick whenever I had those foods, and whether I was injected with them or ate them. And so I have not once since I started after I was diagnosed, I have not once intentionally put those substances in my body because I'm allergic. My health has improved, my weight has gone down, my thinking is better, my mood is better, but there's still a substance out there, a substance that I am absolutely certain that I'm addicted to, that I've known for years is bad for me. The evidence is mounting that it's bad for all of us. I definitely overeat it, but up until this minute, I have not been willing to actively engage in the process that I know works to deal with, and I'll just say it out loud, my sugar addiction. I love sugar. I crave sugar. Sugar's my drug of choice. And it doesn't really matter if we're talking about honey, maple syrup, granulated sugar, or actually, my very favorite is brown sugar. What you might not know is that I actually like it when it gets all clumpy in here because I feel like it's a license to just pick out balls of sugar and eat them. Now if that isn't a sugar addict, I don't know what is. So a couple weeks ago, I had made up my mind that I was going to do this tapping with you about addiction to sugar. And I've put it off a couple times because it's scary, because I know there's something underneath here. I mean, why else would I engage in this behavior that I absolutely know hurts me if there wasn't something emotional underlying it? The problem is, as we start this tapping today, I don't know what that is. So we'll see what happens. So I'm going to just start tapping. I don't even know what words to say, but as I've said before, we don't really need the words. It's the feelings, and I guess right now what I'm tapping on is a whopping dose of anxiety of what is going to happen. Not if it fails, because I know that tapping won't fail, but what is going to happen if this actually works. And that is probably the scariest thing ever right now, because I don't know what I would do instead. Sugar has always been my go-to. Why is that? Because it works. When I'm mad or sad, or scared or frustrated, totally pissed off, irritated, embarrassed, or even just mildly annoyed, sugar will make it better. So I couldn't even stand here in all honesty and tell you that I'm going to give it up because it doesn't work. I'm probably not even going to totally give it up, but I'd like to. I'm at the point, at least cognitively, where I know that my life would be so much better without sugar. Now, I'm not talking about the natural types of sugar that are in foods like fruits and things like that. I'm talking about the sugars that we add by the spoonful, the ones that I know I add just to make myself feel better. And so as I think about that, what kinds of things will change in terms of my habits and behaviors? Because right now, I eat oatmeal for breakfast, probably 3 to 4 times a week. And I do like my brown sugar on my oatmeal. Lots of brown sugar on my oatmeal. In fact, you could probably say that my oatmeal is just a vehicle that's acceptable for eating brown sugar. I've been able to cut it back a little bit, but even then I really miss it. So that's one thing that would change. I also like to have a cup of tea in the morning. And for some reason, I don't know why, iced tea I like it without sweetening, but hot tea I like it with sugar. Now, in anticipation of doing this tapping, I managed to switch from granulated sugar to honey. Now, I've seen on TV that perhaps the honey is better for you. It has some immune enhancing properties to it. And so if I'm going to do sugar, honey's probably a better choice. But, truth is, I don't need it. And I'm not doing it for the immune enhancing properties. I'm doing it because I'm craving the sweetness. I'm craving the feeling that sweetness gives me. That's an addiction, and I don't need it. And it's bad for my body. So there's 2 things that are habits or behaviors that happen almost every day that will change if I no longer crave the sugar. Another thing that will change is that a meal doesn't feel quite complete unless I've had something really sweet. Sometimes I can get by with a piece of fruit. And when a piece of fruit doesn't work, a piece of dried fruit will work, like raisins or craisins or figs, anything like that. But what is that really? It's just sugar. By the time they're dehydrated, it's nothing but sugar. So again, even though it's natural, it's really bad for me, and I know that, but I do it anyway. So craving that sweet thing at the end of a meal would go away, and I'm not sure how I would feel. Where I'm feeling all this right now is in my throat. My throat is kind of tight and my neck is really tense. And so I'm going to focus on this feeling that I've got in my throat and neck as I think about getting rid of this sugar addiction. So I'm going to just start tapping here. And I'm focusing on this tight, icky feeling in my throat. I don't know what it's telling me, but I know that it's telling me something, that we're on to something. So this tight, icky feeling in my throat. If I were going to rate the intensity of it when I started this, I would have said it was probably about a 4 or 5, which you might say it's not a 10. I talk about 10s, but it's enough that I noticed it and it was uncomfortable. So I've got this icky tightness in my throat that was about a 4 or a 5. It's still there, so I must be having some sort of resistance here. So I'm going to go to my karate chop point. Even though I have this icky feeling in my throat, I deeply and completely love and accept myself, with or without the feeling. Even though I have this icky feeling in my throat, I deeply and completely love and accept myself, whether I give up sugar or not. Ooh, things just changed. Even though I had this icky feeling in my throat, I deeply and completely love and accept myself, with or without sugar. Afraid I'll fail. I'm afraid that I'll put this out there on video and I won't really do it. I'm afraid I'll fail. I'm also afraid I'll succeed. Afraid of failure. Oh, afraid of success. That puts me trapped in the middle. Either way I go with this, seems like it's going to feel icky. So instead of taking action, I'm staying stuck. And even though that's the way it's been in the past, I choose to see how it might change in the future. It might be hard. I'd like to accept that it might even be really easy. But I'm committed to making a change, no matter whether it's hard or easy. I'm working on my sugar addiction. Letting go of this addiction. I'm letting go of it in my brain. I'm letting go of it in all the cells of my body. I'm letting go of it in my energy system. I'm releasing this hold that sugar has had on my life. And I'm forgiving myself for indulging for all these years, even when I knew better. I accept myself with or without my sugar addiction. I forgive myself for my sugar addiction. And I forgive anyone else who has contributed to it. We've all done the best that we could. And I acknowledge that now is probably the time to do better. Letting go of sugar. I don't need it. I don't want to want it. And I know I've had the strength to let go of other things that were making me sick. There's no doubt that sugar makes me sick. In fact, eating sugar fills me with self-loathing. It puts that being out of control thing right in front of my face, and I hate that. Letting go of the sugar. Letting go of sugar. Not needing sugar. Not needing sugar. choosing to be in control of my own life. Take a deep breath and let it out. Hopefully you've been tapping along. And remember, if my words aren't exactly your words, change them. If my feelings aren't yours, it's much more important to tap on your own feelings than to tap on my mind, tap on mine. So until next time, happy tapping.